Welcome back to Boys Love Adam.
Welcome back.
We watched episode 6, the day you left for TXT's concert. When was that? May? Like third week of May?
May 18th.
It is now June 12th. We just avoided watching. Well, I mean, we weren't together, so I don't think I could.
We didn't want to do the show on Zoom
separately. Yeah. Also, I have a feeling you didn't want to watch it alone too. I'm sure.
It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
So I bought the hangover cures. It's not the drink.
Girl, that looks like Crystal Light. I don't know what to tell you.
It's like a jelly. So it says drink one before and then drink one after.
Also, you're having one drink tonight.
I'll drink a glass of wine later. Okay, here we go.
Oh, I thought it was a powder. Oh God. Ugh. But the other half of it is you have to get trashed and you have to stay up until 5 a.m.
Oh, that's right.
So.
Well, I have to finish Fantasy Boys anyway, so I probably will be.
Oh.
Cheers.
Cheers, queers.
Set up. Okay, Adam. We did it. We watched episode 7. Oh, talk about what people were saying.
Oh, one of you fucks ruined my life. Somebody was like, "Oh, I interpret the sequence where they're like in the waves, and it's like not the kiss, but like everything past that, where it's like super hot and heavy." Where they were like, I interpret that as like that's what J1 wanted to happen,
and then it never actually
but it
happened.
wasn't actually what was going on.
So it was just from wave to wave.
So it was like trauma, kiss. He dies.
Yeah.
Which that's fucked.
Which
that ruined my life. Wouldn't?
But and after watching this episode, not necessarily proven wrong. Because obviously everyone talked about it after. I think the truth only lies on Jaewon and Jihyun. But there was that line that Jihyun was like, the moment right before it happened was the happiest moment of my life. Which could be interpreted as like those two kisses.
First of all, we start this episode and this is a dead title sequence.
Oh.
I actually, for a second, I was like, the audio messed up.
Our speaker disconnected
sometimes
again.
Our soundbar does that. No.
You know what it reminded me of? The Body, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. When the entire episode has no music. Because
do you want real television cinema?
Besides The Eighth Sense?
Besides The Eighth Sense, it's the Body episode. It's the Body, it's the Dream. I would also say the Hush, incredible. Go load those 3. Also Once More with Feeling, but that's just because I'm gay.
Because we're gay.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is very...
Where by taking that out, it feels... Because it's something that you don't think about. You don't think about the scoring truly. Like if it works, it just melds in, right? But the absence of the music just makes it so unnerving and like a completely shift in tone. Because the whole title sequence was
the cold open is him when you just
beach.
hear the waves.
Yep. And then silence.
And also the idea of, I mean, like, this is like, for centuries, this is the thing about, like, the ocean and the waves. But, like, the calming sound of the waves, but also, like...
Girl, mama, me.
So incredibly dangerous, too.
Oh,
That's the, like...
It's calm because you're so far away from it.
Yes.
But when you're in it...
It's anything but.
Yeah. You got a big storm coming. Honey? Wow, this stuff's pretty good, guys. One sip.
The episode really starts with none of our main characters.
A meeting.
We are at the club meeting, and it is revealed that the May trip has been canceled by the school. And also, I feel like she could have just said the club is canceled, and that would have really covered that the trip was canceled.
And not being like, we are officially off the club lists.
Yeah. And it is not received well.
Obviously, everyone's confused. Taehyung is like, this was a personal trip, so I don't understand why an accident that happened outside of club activities is causing this. And then they were, again, back to the good exposition writing, and it's always Taehyung. that does the exposition lines, because he was like, well, if his parents didn't make such a big deal about it to the school board.
First time this show came out, right? No one knew if Ji-hyun lived or died.
Yeah.
I had, like I said last episode, I
yourself.
Googled it because I had to know.
If
Also,
you came in,
I was aware that we were not going to watch this for 3 weeks, and there was no way that my brain was going to like let that be okay. I did spoil myself. This show, I was like watching it, trying to be like, okay, I know he's fine, but what if I didn't know that?
You would have been going crazy.
This show
this
is
entire
so
episode.
good in the way that it like they're purposefully withholding that he is okay. I do think it doesn't feel like it's overly done. Does that make sense?
It's so natural in the conversation.
Yes, and when you learn that he is okay, you start to understand more why like Unji and Taehyung are more blasé about the situation,
because
if he had died and they actually were talking like that is the most insane reaction anyone would ever have. Like,
yeah,
because Taehyung is mad that his club is girl. Shut. First of all, Taehyung is worse than Unji, and I'm gonna say that I think he is,
because he's bringing everyone down as opposed to Unji, where it really is just like. She has one.
Unji's not great.
She's not great, but she has one.
She definitely shows her ass in this episode.
She
too.
has one MO.
Okay, so like we know enough about her to explain why she's doing what she's doing.
Yeah,
she's being completely. She's sabotaging everything.
Yes,
because she's like so still in love with Jaewon, or harboring feelings at least. Whereas like, why is Taehyung like this?
Why do you care?
You are an asshole. You are so awful.
He's doing the same thing that like Jaewon and Yoonwon essentially are doing, of like avoiding having to grow up and like do anything.
Yeah.
But he is just doing it in a more self-destructive way of like, because he utilizes the people around him as opposed to like just like putting himself in a situation where he doesn't have to grow up. Like Jaewon and Yoonwon just keep doing the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
He is like, no, like we're all just the same.
I see that a little bit. I don't know. There's something else to it though. I'm sure
I do
think he's also
else.
a man.
And I think he's also just like genuinely jealous of Jaewon because obviously
it's total jealousy.
But it's like, then why the fuck are you friends with him?
Because you also want to be friends with the kid who has connections.
I guess.
I do like that realistic aspect of the show, which does come up with the professor in the scene later, where that scene is so brilliant.
It's
brilliant. Okay,
we got it.
So they have this meeting. Taehyung is insane. Unji truly starts a fight with Eri.
And Eri just kind of like stands up for, because they were both just like, like blasé about Jihyun's condition, and she's like,
Eri and Jun Pio supremacy.
Yeah. Oh my god, they are the best. She literally is like, I know you guys are seniors, but what the fuck is wrong with you two? Someone could have died. Someone almost died.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't even say almost. At this point in the show, you're fully like...
she's like, death. Like saying...
Death has happened, basically.
Yes. We have come across death.
Yeah.
Just keeping it in the most vague terms. And all you care about is this stupid fucking club. Like, don't you understand that there's something more important? And I love, because I think we don't have the same level of like layers of respect, obviously, for like juniors and seniors. Like, it's not as laden as it is in Korean culture, but
age is not.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is something like Western agency, like,
oh girl, the whole time I was like,
get her ass. Because finally you can be like, I am gonna stand up for what's right, not thinking about like social.
How dare you talk to me because I'm a senior,
girl. You're insane.
You sound crazy. You are such a monster right now. I really wanted them to fight. I really wanted them to fight. But that's the like gay man who wants to see like a dynasty cat fight.
Yes.
That's that part of me.
Out of all of the surfing clubs, you wandered into mine.
Yeah.
Yes. Trash. Yeah, that.
Jaewon is hopefully he wants to get the camera fixed. And the guy in the shop is like, "Oh, it's done. This is done. I can get you a new camera if you want a new camera. This is an old style
my
camera."
camera broke too.
I know. Also, it's a metaphor.
Now, what's a metaphor, Adam?
There are a few metaphors. There's a few symbolisms, metaphors going on in this episode. He broke the camera. He also like harbors now this internal guilt that he broke Ji-hyun. And like the idea of the camera can't be fixed is like it's important, like narrative wise. It has to be a camera that can't be fixed, because also him being able to walk away from the camera and say it's fine, I don't want a new camera anyway, is like him in that stage of grief where it's full denial of like,
it's not important.
It doesn't matter. It's fine. Whatever. I just won't need a camera. I just won't own a camera. It's fine. I don't need a camera.
Yeah.
Who wants a camera?
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
Who wants a man? Not me. Well, oh my God. The episode. How does each episode get better? I am so serious right now.
It just feels like the telescope gets closer and closer in. I feel like.
Ooh, Hubble.
Yeah.
We don't know any other names of telescopes.
Hubble. It's giving Hubble.
It's definitely giving Hubble, for sure.
Yeah. We're in our Hubble era. Every episode, there's nowhere for Jaewon to like run away to, because his feelings are getting deeper and deeper. The reality of his world is getting more real.
We have never discussed also the composition of the shots in the therapist's office
through the aquarium,
with the aquarium behind him, of like the constant reminder of the water. We come back to it.
And remember, she was like, I charge by the minute. Because assuming that he walked in there and then just sat staring at an aquarium for like the first 15 minutes.
Right.
Because he's so transfixed of like, I love this, but I know the harm that it just did. And now I'm conflicted what my relationship is with water.
They're in class. First of all, 80 is in like, they're still building this momentum that like he's dead.
He's dead, yeah.
Which is crazy.
He goes to class.
The show takes such a risk by doing that.
Aerie goes to class.
And the professor's like, I gave you time because of what happened, but you do need to do your presentation next week.
Jaewon is in class, that same class with all the seniors, and he is like in a catatonic state. Like he is not there.
RJ.
Is that what you wrote?
RJ.
Catatonic?
Look at the word I wrote.
Jaewon is catatonic. Yeah. Like he looks like his eyes are not in the same place that he is in.
Yeah.
It's crazy. His eye acting is insane in this show.
His acting is, The professor's like, oh, it's good to see you back in class. We don't know how long it's been. Because Taeyoung is like, he's like the TA or whatever.
Sure.
And so he says something like, it's our senior year, so we really need to buckle down and get it together. So don't go out and drink, be really careful. And then makes a joke by being like, be careful, unlike some people who go out and try to like get themselves killed or whatever. And like, I don't condone violence. But also,
I don't condone violence.
RJ, you watch WWE.
I know.
I don't condone violence.
But I am a proponent of talk shit, get hit. Like, it is
fuck around and find out,
girl. If you say something completely out of line, that deserves, and that's the thing. That's the craziest part. Like what he said here, there's no other option. Unfortunately.
No, because he's not going to learn anything from you yelling at him.
No. Because you guys fight all the time.
Break his nose.
Yeah.
Also, the show has to set up, you still, as the audience member, have to believe that he is dead. For that to be as affecting a line as it is. Mm-hmm. Because if you watch it back, knowing that he is alive, knowing everyone knows he's alive, and he's on the mend, it reads more as a joke.
Yeah.
Like he's like, oh, like some people, like very sarcastic, still asshole comment, crazy. Why are you saying that? But like you have to be where Jaewon is mentally.
Yeah.
In order for it to make sense why he like lashes out.
Yeah.
And it's hot. I don't know what to say. Listen. I don't know.
And then the professor talks to him after class.
Yeah, he pulls him in.
And it's like
office hours. We love office hours.
And it was fully like, look, well, he originally already said, let's talk after class, even before this.
Yeah.
And he was like, look, I was gonna like be okay with the
Also, the punch is like silent too. Mm-hmm. Like the sound gets sucked out of the episode, and it's just like
because you are in that moment. You are in Jaewon's like what Jaewon is experiencing, and nothing is real. Tunnel vision, nothing is real. Mm-hmm. The professor's like, look, I can excuse not being here for class and whatever, but like the Miss Stuntrolina that you pulled in front of people, like that's really hard to defend. And listen, you already know like your dad is about to hire me. Or like I'm going for a position that your dad's company is going for. And so I really don't want to bring this up because I may work for him.
But because you did it in front of everybody, I pretty much have to go to the disciplinary board about this.
Yeah. And that moment, I literally was like, I fully understand Jaewon's pressure because literally there is no one. There is no one that he feels like he is not attached to that.
There is no loyalty to Jaewon the person. There is
From anyone.
Nobody.
Except Jihyun.
And maybe his therapist.
Yeah, probably.
So then he gets a call. It's later the same day. He gets a call from like this school council. I don't know.
The disciplinary board or whatever.
Sure. The administration office. And they're like, you are due for your hearing or whatever. At the Wizengamut. And he then tries to call Taeyoung, who like doesn't answer the phone. Then he goes out with Unji. If the last time we saw him on like a set of stairs with someone was very sweet and they were like very coupley and they were holding hands and it was all very nice, this is the antithesis.
Where physically she is doing that. But like there's nothing.
He is cold. I mean, it's not even like it's not even like he can't even process that she's like a person next to him.
Yeah,
that he is so. I mean, like this fucked him up. Is like flirty. You have Unji, sweetheart. You have to take a hint. I mean,
but here's the thing: would you want to be with someone like if I was Unji, would I put all that effort just to say, look, Jaewon's back in my life, but he is like completely catatonic and doesn't care and actually
if you
engage.
fully believe that at some point he's gonna snap out of it and it's gonna be fine, then yeah, you just put up with however long that's gonna be.
Girl,
but also she thinks she's walking around thinking like her shit don't stink. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Back when she was like yelling at Aries, she was like, you freshmen think you know things. I was like, you are like 3 years older than her.
Yes.
Calm down.
And you know nothing.
And that takes a 31-year-old to say that. To be like, 22, girl, you don't know anything. And then she just goes for it.
Smooch.
She just kisses him. And you know what? We love to see a heterosexual dead fish kiss.
I know. Equality.
Equality.
This is why we fought.
Happy Pride.
This is why we threw the brick at Stonewall.
Yes. For a man and a woman to kiss like this. The fact that it doesn't even get a reaction out of him, because she also wants a reaction. Because she thinks she can like snap him out of it.
Yeah.
And oh, girl, you're not going to get it. I don't know what to tell you.
Let me tell you. If you think like men throughout the years have been trained and just raised to not be okay with their emotions.
Well,
so if you think your little performance is going to do it, mama, no.
What did you say earlier?
You got another storm coming, girl. The therapist, in her mind, probably like maybe the depressive spell just got really bad and he just didn't have the courage to come or whatever. And so she brings up this anecdote of like, you know what the hardest thing is for therapists is when our patients unalive themselves.
Right.
And the conflict for us if we should go to the funeral or not. And then
Truly something I
have never thought about
in my
literally
life.
never thought about this. And Jaewon was like, well, what's usually done? And she was like, honestly, the board is split decision. Like we as professionals also have a hard time figuring out what to do.
Can I tell you what's crazy? A podcast I listened to
Just talked about this?
No. Their therapist unalived themselves. Not recently. It was a couple of years ago, but...
I mean, that's the thing. It goes back to that metaphor of we're all just trying to stay on this wave. Like, we're all just humans trying to do that. And, like...
That's so scary.
You know, like mental health professionals, like their job and their duty is to keep everyone also on the wave, but that's still a human person having to do that, you know.
Jaewon brings up Jihyun and is like, you know that person I was telling you about, who he said he calls his refuge. And then he was like, I went too far too quickly and I used him as my shelter. First of all, if anyone ever talked to me like that, I would like the poetry of that sentence is crazy.
Poetry, yeah. Chaucer, Balzac,
Rabelais,
Jaewon.
Shakespeare. And she asks he's like,
psychologically
I hurt him.
Yes.
Or he got hurt because of me, basically. And she asks psychologically, he says
physically.
No, physically.
Because I took him on a trip and he got in a bad accident.
Yeah.
And he was in the ICU.
He almost died in the ICU.
And she's like, well, is he fine now?
Cut to he's taking his break.
Cut
to Jun Pio eating. The fact that this show also that they know they have to balance it with some levity.
Absolutely.
And that is the highest purpose of his character.
But it also shows the, like, you never know what people are going through. Like, in the same world, there is someone like Jaewon who is literally going through an emotional roller coaster. And then there is someone like Jun Pio who is just like, I am so in the moment. I know, Friedrich, why are you shedding so much? He's old. It's like a committed like character bit, but it feels so real.
He's a real person. It's
crazy.
He's not just like a walking like stereotype of like the chubby kid who like eats a lot. Like he does feel like a genuine real character.
Because even in his
world.
lines, there's like sense of like longing and like him having to take care. Like his lines just express like he took care of Jihyun this entire time.
Right.
You know? And like there's still just like you're still getting a real person, a real character, and a real relationship, even though all you see is like him just chomping on those choco pies.
Yes,
I love it.
This whole sequence is very funny, actually, which is so nice that we finally have this like moment of levity.
I know. He was fully like, you know, I'm really gonna miss sitting at priority seating at the bus, and then asks the doctor, "Is it okay if can you give me one of those like casts so I can keep going on the seats?" And the doctor literally goes, "Try to come alone next time."
It's so funny. He's so funny. What a great bit of comedy.
So good.
The thing that I love is that Jun Pio, no change.
Yeah.
Has not been affected by this. Still, like, obviously took care of Jihyun and stuff like that. But, like,
I think
same person.
But I think that's what's so amazing about it.
Right. But also, Jihyun is a changed person.
I know.
Jihyun is different.
Jihyun won the roast challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Jihyun won the reading challenge,
Mini-game.
actually.
Mini challenge, yeah.
Yeah, she won the reading challenge. She won the roast.
Mm-hmm.
RuPaul roast. She won the improv challenge.
Yeah.
She was with Candy Muse.
She's funny now.
And
She's
Jessica.
a funny girl.
Yeah.
She's comedy queen.
Comedy queen.
Bianca who?
She has a Netflix special coming out.
Bianca Del Jihyun?
No,
Boo. They leave, and we find out that he was working at the shop in his place. Jun Pio was working in Jihyun's place while he was out, obviously sick,
recovering.
dying.
Just like, yeah.
What was wrong with him? He had a neck
It looked
brace
like
on, so he broke his neck? That's crazy.
Exactly. Exactly. You don't fuck with necks and vertebrae.
No.
You don't fuck with vertebrae.
And you don't, I gotta say, if you go to a chiropractor, they just tell them to stay away from your neck. They do the back, that's fine, whatever. Just like,
Yeah.
That's my recommendation. So they go visit Sejong Nim.
Oh my God. I literally got teary-eyed watching this sequence because she was obviously so relieved.
She reminds me of your mother.
Joy. Comfort and joy. She's like willing to banter, obviously, and be playful, but still does it in like a serious way.
Is it a diaspora thing to hit you when you're like, oh, so good to see you? Do you know what I'm talking about?
And like I do it when actually this is so funny.
Your mother does it to me.
I do it all the time. I mean, I do it all the time, but I did it with my dad in the Philippines in Phoenix, and I like would do this like or to his shoulder, and then I'd be like, oh, I feel his insulin. I'd be like, I need to stop doing it as much because I did it so much. Like I was like, oh, that's your insulin. I'm sorry. Pump. Yes, I think it. I mean, that's how Filipinos like laugh. It must be a diaspora thing.
Yeah, because she kept doing it when she was so tickled to see him that
They were just like, how are you?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big Filipino thing. That's how we all laugh. It's like by hitting people. I just thought it was cute. I mean, my favorite part was like he was like, "Oh, your kimchi jjigae is still so good. It's better than my mom's, honestly, and better than the hospital's." And she hits Jun Pio and is mad at Jun Pio, like, "Why did you tell me he was eating trash this entire time and I could have given you food?" And he's like, "You're not allowed to bring food in the hospital." And she was like, "Oh, there's always ways to get around that," which might be foreshadowing for the disciplinary hearing.
Oh.
I'm not. I like any.
Maybe, but I also think that like my guess is that it's gonna be a separation of like him and his family in a roommates kind of way.
Oh, like they will disown
Or some. I just think it's like the root, not necessarily the whole root, but like part of J1's root problem is this
pressure
coming down the pike that he is going to have to be responsible in this grand way that he's probably not ready for or really wants to do.
Honestly, girl, just emancipate, go to the fucking beach and teach surfing and live your life.
Buy a camera, become a photographer.
Honestly, be a model.
Honestly, I love this sequence. It's so...
They reunite. The girls reunite.
Eri, Jun Pio, and
Jihyun.
Jihyun.
We're back from our albuterol break. Well, okay, in this like quad scene, obviously we're all catching up, blah, 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 blah. Jun Pio needed to poop.
And that's how you know it's RJ coded. Anyway. Jesus Christ. You know what I love? I like that we skipped right to Jihyun is fine.
Yes.
I am so happy that they did not show us...
They didn't do the traditional K-drama of like, let's do one episode of tending.
In the hospital,
tending.
Yeah. Right.
And you just hear it. Because Eri's like, he really hasn't talked to you, like, since the accident? And he's like, no. And then Jun Pio was like, well, he was there, like, the entire time that you were unconscious. And he looked like he was really...
Until you came to.
Until you woke up, and then he left. So it's like, just in that, you got everything you needed to know. Already.
This episode feels like a play.
Yes.
Because it's all just like talking about things that did happen or are happening. But
and they're just like discussing the repercussions.
Yes, it's so good.
To the creative team that wrote the story, please let me adapt this into a play because I would love that. Like scenes like that would be so.
It would be so good.
So good on stage.
Yeah. Annie knows what they are or what they were, what they had, there was something special.
I think it's very
And she informs him that like everyone is talking about that it's very strange
that you guys were on a solo trip
trip together because you guys don't really know each other. So just be aware of that. But then also, he says the most beautiful sentence I've maybe ever heard.
Adam like legit choked up, squealed, paused, and then cried for like about 2 minutes. While I was eating my little pasta salad. Like,
okay. Didn't need to do that. But he says, the last memory I have before I remember being in the hospital was the happiest memory of my life.
which really makes me think that maybe that person was right. Maybe none of it did happen. I mean, it did. I think it did happen. But it's in the swell of all of those things that are happening that for him, it's like all of that was just one beautiful moment.
And then he's like going through the photos later. The show is so good.
Photos. The importance of cameras.
Sure. Well, there's another metaphor. Because they go out for cocktails. We watched this episode, and RJ, I feel like we watched it weeks ago.
That happened?
The show just ended half hour ago, and RJ's like, that scene?
They've done it.
This is the best bartender. Best bartender so far, for sure.
And it's just, again, these older female characters. Like, tough love at the beginning because they, like, don't know what they're ordering. Because they are trying to be like, let's just not drink soju. Let's do cocktails. I heard in class people talking about tequila and vodka, and I don't know what they were talking about, so we should do it.
So sweet.
So cute. And so they order, and Jun Pio, like, can't order because he's, like, he
said, can I have a vodka? And she was like, with what?
And he's just like,
that's not a drink? I thought it was just a drink. It's very cute.
Hello, good lady. I will have your finest
an
vodka.
Adult.
I, an adult, will have a singular vodka, if you may. With what? Like full Looney Tunes.
Stupid. But Jihyun
Googles.
asks, a vodka tonic, a gin and tonic, and then 2 aqua bombs? Agua bombs.
Agua bombs. Agua is a liqueur made from a coca leaf. Coca leaf. It's green. It looks like Midori. I bet it's not that sweet. But an agua bomb is literally that.
It was giving me absinthe.
But it was that and half a Red Bull. So it's like it's a Red Bull shot.
But it, like, the glass.
It's like an hourglass.
It's like an hourglass. And the two, because they have different viscosity. Now, come with me back to chemistry. Where
Chemist.
2 liquids that have different visci. Viscous?
Visqua.
Visqua.
She says, just like oil and water, the liqueur and the Red Bull, like, separate.
Separate, yeah.
Especially in this glass, because it pinches. It's snatched in the middle.
It's just like Junwon.
Yes, it's just like Junwon with a little snatched waist in the middle. That it doesn't make because it stays separated. Mm-hmm. So, and she's like, but it's all about balance, because if you don't fill it up to where the snatched waist is, then it could start messing it up. It tilts to the other side. So you have to have the right balance.
One has to tilt on the other. The one needs the other in order for this to work.
It's literally
because when they combine in your mouth, it's like fireworks.
Yes.
I said, Mama.
No, what in the Wattpad am I reading?
Not the metaphor.
Not what in the fanfic?
I do want to say really quickly before we go to the end that the other thing I love that was like the true thing about Jihyun's character now is that he like keeps making jokes about being like, well, I was the one who almost died.
Well, I almost died.
You can't say that, but I can, which is it's very much like I've known a couple of people who were like younger and their like parents have passed away very tragically, very suddenly, and their way of like dealing with that is like that really dark, layered comedy. And like everybody processes it in whatever way they can, but like it reminded me of that energy of being like, well, LOL, Remember when I almost wasn't here?
Yeah. It's a lot of, like, I think growing up, I mean, also, like, being queer, we always make those. I mean, we've made those jokes multiple times already.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is the clear way to see, like, how he really has matured since this accent. But also, like, even with this accent, it's that idea of, like, going back to the waves metaphor, this is someone who has experienced what it truly means to have your life potentially be taken away like that. And so truly everything, I'm sure when he woke up, nothing matters anymore. Like, everything is just like, this is neither here nor there, because I'm alive and that's all that matters, and that I'm not dead. And so I do think that he's probably why the ending scene where he tries to reconnect or try to reach back to Jaewon, I don't sense shame from Jihyun at all.
No, I don't think so either.
Wanting to reconnect to Jaewon, he really is just trying to be like, I just need to get through to you to get past this.
Also, it's the idea that his biggest fear was like going in the water. So like he has
already experienced the worst that could happen.
Yes.
And
apart from
survived.
dying, which you can't come back from, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the worst that can happen. And he came out on the other side and he's fine. So you either... then you as a person can take that trauma of going through that horrific disaster and you can process it in either your brain will choose whether you are going to be like, I am never going toward water again. And I'm genuinely like, this is my biggest, like it was already his biggest fear, but now it's like cemented. This is like horror show.
Yeah.
Or you fully are like, well, if that was the scariest thing I've ever done, like it almost like just makes you like stronger. And neither way is like right or wrong. It's really just how your brain like
just how people process it. Yeah.
So he's looking through photos and then he texts Jaewon.
I love the amount of the same photos that they took, as if Jaewon did not want to stop pressing the shutter.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it was literally like 25, 30 photos of the same pose over and over again. And you could tell Jihyun was like smiling and then like, he's still doing it. Oh, I'll smile again. And it just shows...
There's like an actual story.
Crazy.
No, you're right. I mean,
that slideshow, right?
There's like a story being told in the photos, but it's just this is how you know like people. There was a period of time where like technology was like really jumping quickly, and like people didn't know how to characterize technology on screen because it's like a new thing.
You don't want to be like, well, I don't want to just...
And it doesn't want to seem too cute, right?
Yeah.
This is like brilliant because like it is the actual thing of like you've taken a shit ton of photos, but it also is it's telling its own story in that slideshow, which is so brilliant. It's so good because you can see like fully what you were saying. Like Jihyun is like...
Yeah, like he's like, there's still photos, because Jaewon does not want to stop.
But then Jihyun has done the same thing because the photos start with him taking pictures of Jaewon, and they're all the same pose. I love these two; they're so good. And then it does the thing that truly broke my brain in To My Star 2.
Oh, girl.
It was not as bad as To My Star 2, thank God, because I could not have gone through that again.
Oh, yeah, voicemails don't ever. God.
They were texts that he was reading. He was receiving them.
And then
but voiceover on the show was reading the... Yeah. Don't tell me about my favorite fucking show. How dare you. But there's like five
messages.
And and
you don't even know if it's like the most. It might just be the 5 most recent. You don't know how far back he's gone.
Because it doesn't date them.
Because the first one is I miss you. Just I miss you.
So which one broke your brain? Was it that one?
Okay, it was I miss you. It's gonna rain today. Bring an umbrella.
That's the one that broke me.
I mean, that's classic K-drama. The other person isn't answering. You're already crying.
I'm crying right now. That care from the person who just almost died. the second person in his life that he's like cared about this way. Each time it has not ended well. But like, I mean, I get why you'd be like, well, I'm actually not gonna engage in that way with anyone ever again for the rest of my life.
For me, it was when he added the Jaewon Hyung. Period.
Yeah.
The period spoke volumes.
Mm-hmm. And then Jaewon gets the message and does not respond. And
he reads it. He puts it back down and continues to lay down credits. It's truly that.
It's so good.
It is this. I mean, it's the level of grief where you're just like, you are not a functioning member of the community or society. You are just like a shell.
Yeah. I mean, he is like a broken person, which is ironic because he thinks that like he broke Ji-hyun. But like Ji-hyun, as we have seen, is like almost like a more whole person. Yeah. Whereas like Jaewon has been shattered by this event.
No.
Yeah.
And I like assume he just needs. I'm sure it's coming, but like I just picture a scene in which Jaewon sees Ji-hyun fully living his life. That could either go. He doubles down on how bad he feels because it's like, look at what I almost took out in this life. Like this beautiful thing.
You said Jaewon is just what people want him to be.
Yeah. I mean, that was really apparent throughout the whole thing. From the teacher, Unji, Taehyung.
Yeah.
Even like the other freshmen in the surfing club.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone around in Jaewon's world is not connected to him in what he really wants. Like they have put him in a place that benefits them.
Yeah.
And it never goes deeper than that.
Yep.
It really wasn't until Ji-hyun who actually saw him for like a real person rather than like something
because he saw him outside
need.
of his position.
Yeah.
Outside of his class, outside of his
God, chaebols have hearts too. Come on.
Who's your MVP this episode?
Jun motherfucking Pio. Airy tied.
Mine's Jun Pio, yeah.
Yeah.
I would also give it to the therapist because I thought that scene was
beautiful.
Really well.
I think both Jun Pio and Airy, I think, did a great job of like defending Ji-hyun and caring for Ji-hyun in their own way. That I think Ji-hyun, in this episode specifically, not that he wasn't grateful for it, but I could tell in this episode he truly like connected that like, oh, these are real friends that I can count on.
But also like that's the beauty, and like it almost feels like Ji-hyun and Jun Pio's friendship is like more solid post this event because Ji-hyun is appreciating the simplicity of Jun Pio. Mm-hmm. Like it's so there are those people who like, when I say like surface level, I don't mean like anything negative by that, but just like their existence is not mired in this like quagmire of thought. They are like very like they live their heart on their sleeve.
Yeah.
And he's so like refreshing that like you would have to there's nothing you would want more than like to come out of the hospital and have someone like treat you like, you have to buy me a watch because I covered all your shifts, and be like, I was dying. Like that is so funny. Yeah. Like it's such a warm familiarity.
He's just someone that lives in the present, which I love, and we all try very hard to aspire to.
Yeah.
To not be worried about what's coming in the future. Like he's like, this is what he needs from me right now, so I'll just do it.
Well,
I think it'll get better from here.
I hope it gets better at some point. I mean, the show sucks. Are we still rolling? The show is so good.
Yeah, the show is so good.
I love it.
Do they still think we're gay?